And welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be doing some Formula 4 at Virginia International Raceway, one of iRacing's very best tracks. So we're going to get straight into it, and hopefully this is an enjoyable video for you. Thanks. So we're going straight into qualifying, where, not the best camera angle, but this is one and only lap that we managed to string together without getting an off track, so this is the only lap we get. So we start off through turn 1 pretty well, coming here through to turn 3 or 4, I can't quite remember. Not a bad exit there. Now at this point, coming up through here, the S's, trying to get as close on to and on those curbs as we possibly can, to try and minimise as much time as we spend through the corners. Doing the same here again, coming up the hill. Now coming through the pretty quick left-hander. It can be done in 6th gear, relatively quicker than that, but I did not manage to get it to work off there, considering the lap prior to it was disqualified and not allowed. Coming through that corner there, had a dodgy exit, so not the best corner you've ever seen, but it's not bad. Now we're coming up through here after the straight to what I believe is probably the trickiest corner of the whole circuit. Not getting a bad exit, wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. Dropping down through here, really trying to focus on the exit, hopping the car up onto those curbs and powering through. Getting as close to the right hand side of the track as we can to minimise the length we do use to the finish line, and we finish off the lap with a 150.403, putting us P5. Now we move on to the race. The race begins here. We're starting P5. We have got Seth in front of us and Jensen. Not a terrible start from us. We're looking to our left there. We managed to sneak there past Seth. Not bad. And into the first corner. Seth gets a little close, squirrels out on the exit. Then we have Magnus coming up our inside. We have the inside to the next 2 corners, which puts us at an advantage from Magnus. We'll have another look at this start here from a different angle on the gyro screen. As you can see, Seth kind of gets a bit close and a bit squirrely, almost causing an exit accident, and then Magnus comes up here on our outside, but unfortunately not able to get the move done, as we had the inside corner for the next 2 corners. This now brings us to the S's, where we're sitting in P4 behind, that's an interesting name, Mr. Svenderson, I believe that's how you pronounce this, with Magnus behind, 0.3 behind us. We're trying to sit here in behind Svenderson, 0.4 gap to him. We gain quite a bit as they were blocked up, the 3 of them, and we make quite a nice little lunge up the inside here of Svenderson. We'll have a look at that from another little angle here in a second. There we go. As you can see, barreling up the inside, outbraking him. Very clean move, very tidy move. Now, we didn't have the best exit ever onto the straight, so we are 0.5 behind Lev, and Svenderson is 0.4 behind us, so he's currently sitting in our slipstream trying to catch us, as are we Lev. Lev unfortunately has a slipstream to Lucas though, so he's pulling away a lot quicker than we can catch up. Breaking through here, trying to keep it clean and tidy. A little mistake here from Lev, which allows us to catch up a little bit, but we don't have the best exit, so it balances itself out. We are currently dropping Svenderson, who had a major mistake coming through there, but manages to keep his cool, keep his steady, and powers on with that 0.4 gap. Coming through the inside to finish off the first lap. This brings us to lap 4 here, where Magnus begins to come around to our left-hand side, which gives him the outside to this right-hander here. I back out nice and early as not to cause a accident, but I have the inside for this corner. I still let him through just to be sure, and don't defend the position too heavily as I don't want to cause an accident. But this then in turn brings on a very, very close battle here between P2, 3, and 4. P3 including me. So it's a 0.8 gap to Magnus as I got a terrible exit being pushed by Lev here. Then a pretty interesting little idea of an overtake from the Williams car there as he runs into the back of us twice, almost causing a huge three-way accident. We'll have a look at it here from the Williams perspective. As you can see, he gets pushed pretty well into the back of my car, quite literally inside of me, and then again through the corner. Very close to causing a big accident. Causes me to squirrel up on the exit, and I don't get the best exit in the world, but it's fine. We've got a 0.7 gap to Magnus, which is alright. We're going to try and keep in the slipstream, whilst Lev is pushing us from the back with a 0.2 gap. Coming here through the exit into the S's, Magnus has a little squirrel up here on the exit of that corner, which allows us to get into his slipstream and maintain a very close gap. Lev is gaining on us with a 0.1 gap right behind us, right on our tail, but does not make a move through the S's, a smart choice, as he backs out. I brake a little bit early and lift just to make sure that I don't make contact with Magnus in front of me. We brake through it. I really try and focus on the exit here, have a little lock up coming into that corner, that's alright, and then squirrel out of the exit of that corner. Not my best exit of that corner ever, but enough. We keep in the slipstream of Magnus, whilst Lev has a 0.2 gap behind us, also in our slipstream. We've got a little bit of a train here, as there's only 1.2 second gap to Svensson. I try to go around the outside there of Magnus. Lev tries to come up the inside, but I cut him off nicely there and defend the position well. The 0.2 gap to Magnus. Now I still hold, same with Lev. We've got a nice train here. Though Svensson is catching us at a rather quick rate as a 4.4k driver. This battle between P2, 3 and 4 still going on, me and P3. Then Lev makes an absolute send and a half up the inside, a very ambitious move that he luckily makes it stick. Not the best exit though from Lev as I managed to catch up to him. That's Lev's little overtake there from me and his little exit there. As you can see, not the best exit in the world. Not much of a gap here to Lev. I do a little half-assed send up the inside of Lev, just to try and scare him off, but it doesn't really work. Svensson is now caught up with a 0.3 gap. 0.4 to Lev and 0.9 to Magnus. I sit in the slipstream here of Lev to try and catch up to him with a 0.4 gap. Due to my lovely internet, I've managed to blink through the S's here, which definitely can't be helping the slipstream adventure. We pop back here behind Lev. Now I'm really trying to focus on the exit of this corner here. We don't get it done too badly. We're now sitting in here behind Lev with a 0.4 gap to him, Magnus in front of Lev with a 0.8 gap, and then Svensson with a 0.1 gap to behind. Svensson smartly backs out of this little overtake, as Lev has a massive lock up into that corner. I unfortunately do not get enough of a run on him to make an overtake here though. It's now a 0.2 gap to Lev, which puts me nicely in his slipstream, but I take the exit of this corner very badly and the entrance, which allows Lev to make a bit of a run up from us. Svensson is still 0.3 behind us. This brings us on to lap 7, where I take a little bit of a inside line up on Lev and get the overtake stuck really nice up onto the straight. Bit of a squirrely exit from the both of us, but we make it work. This brings us onto the straight here, where Lev is going for a move up the inside. I do not move across on the track in enough time to defend this position properly. Lev is now fully beside me with the inside line to this next corner, so I unfortunately have to back out and gratefully put down my sword and let him through. Not the best entrance into the corner or exit, bit slidey through the corner, but that's fine. 0.3 gap to Lev. And Svenderson with a 0.1 gap behind me. Jensen in P6 with a 2-second gap, so he's well clear out of my mind. This brings us on to lap 8, which will eventually be with 2 laps to go. So we got this one and then one more. There's a 0.4 gap to Lev, and Svenderson's still got that 0.3 gap to me. After an absolutely shocking entrance and exit onto the S's, it gives a really good run for Lev, who's now got a second gap to me, Magnus with a 1.8 second gap, and Svenderson, who's right behind me with a 0.1 second gap. It was a weak excuse of a corner, but it happens. So now, in my head, I'm thinking we've got to defend the position. With this lap and one more to go, I want to hold my position. I brake way too early for the corner and try to focus on the exit of this corner. Unfortunately, I take a really weird apex, which does not allow me to get the full exit to that corner, which I would have liked. Unsettled the car too much, using too much curb. Now that we're on the straight, there's a 1.1 second to Lev and a 0.3 gap to Svenderson. I hold the inside line smartly to this corner in case Svenderson gets any smart ideas to try and barrel up the inside of here and potentially cause an accident. It's now a 0.3 gap to him. The 1 second gap to Lev at the start of now leading onto the penultimate lap of the race put really bad doubts in my mind that I was 100% going to just have to defend P4. So that's what I did. I don't even worry about a slipstream at this point. We're now on to the final lap of the race. Svenderson goes around the left-hand side of me, but I brake late enough and take the inside line that it makes him back out of the overtake. I have a dodgy exit, and then my wonderful internet again blinks me out, which causes Svenderson to make the overtake through me. Unfortunately, this is where I'm going to have to end up in P5. Svenderson made an overtake due to my crappy internet, which is really on me. Should have better internet. And well done to Svenderson for getting through the corner. There's a 2-second gap to Jensen now, which does not bother me at all, but the 0.4 to Svenderson gives me hope. I've still got half a lap to try and overtake him. I try to carry as much speed through this corner as possible, but brake way too late for Oak Tree. I try to really focus on the exit, but again use way too much apex, and it causes a really shitty exit onto the straight, which loses me a heap of time. I still try and get into his slipstream to hope that I might be able to catch up to him enough to make a move through the last 3 or 4 corners. It's now a 0.5 gap to Svenderson. Coming through this corner, we've entered into a 0.3, 0.4 kind of gap, and I'm really trying to focus on every exit now and every entrance into the corner, minimising as much wheel spin as possible so that we can try and catch up to Svenderson in these last 2 corners. At this point, I've obviously given up hope. I don't even bother really trying to overtake him. He's done it, and he's gotten through to P4. So unfortunately, I've started P5 and finished P5. Not a bad result. At the end of the day, we got really, really nice iRating and safety rating gain, but it would have been nicer in P4. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, and see you in the next one.